Flying Off Academy, happy Super Mario Monday, and we're going to talk about shaft lean. I know this is a question that comes up a lot. How do I increase my shaft lean? Shaft lean. Well, is shaft lean a little bit too much? Do we need a lot of it? What is it? Let's talk about this today. If you do like this, hit that like, share, and subscribe. We try and get a video every day to you about the golf swing, cause and effects, trying to educate you, the viewer, to not go down the YouTube rabbit hole to get lost like Alice in Wonderland without a return ticket. Stick with me. Let's talk about shaft lean, and will this help you? So what is shaft lean and how is this important? Shaft lean basically tells you how long you have held your angle throughout your impact position. Now, obviously, you want to try and increase this to help deliver the power effectively. And all you're doing is conserving your angle set by your wrists for as long as you can. But how do you do that? And why do amateurs not do it enough? Well, there's a couple things that come into play here. Number one is your ball position. Your ball position really needs to be set up correctly based on your setup. Now we're going to take a look at this golf professional because this is a crooked angle, but this ball position looks like it's in the back of his body. So what we're going to do is, let's say the ball's right there, it's behind that launch monitor. Now I know that this is a little bit skewed. It's probably at like the 5 o'clock view. If it was directly on, you would still see it more in his center of his body, but take a look at what happened to his shoulders. So his shoulders are now definitely tilting down, and he is keeping his arms relative to that tilt, and his arm position is centered to the spine. But if you take a look, he has done a premature shaft lean. So this is forward pressing in Barney purple, and my computer just did it again. So let's back up here. So we see that forward press. Let's redraw that there. There's the forward press. Now, what is this doing? It's setting an angle initially. So what you're looking for is this angle here. And let's draw this in green. So this is the angle that he is setting. It's 139 degrees. We're going to keep that up there. Let's 140. Let's keep that up there and see what he gets to right as he strikes the golf ball. So as he gets ready and strikes the golf ball, we can see right there. So in between these two frames is where he strikes the golf ball. So let's catch at this one and compare the angle to what he has. So let's draw there to there is his arm, and man, it's so blurry, to right about there. So we see he's at 109. So he has now increased the initial angle by 30 degrees, which is good. But if you take a look at the top of his swing, what is his position here? It is probably like 102. So he went from 102 to 109, and that is a pretty solid angular momentum retention. And as he strikes it, that's where he releases it. And even past here, let's delete these lines, you can still see that he had some sort of forward press because it's at 153 now. Some people try to cheat the system that are not capable like this person. Now, in order to cheat the system and get your hands ahead, you have to now tilt and turn out the way to maintain that angle. Now, remember, it's not necessarily about shoulder tilt. The more tilt you can establish, the more potential shaft lean you have. However, there is a point where it becomes too much tilt. And let me see if I can make sense of this. So let's draw his current shoulders at impact and see how this plays a part. So we're looking at this angle here. Now, the more you can tilt your shoulders underneath you, the more potential shaft lean you have, because those hands will just keep up with the tilt. Take a look at this. If I draw a new tilt, let's really exaggerate the shoulder tilt. So let's get him to tilt like this. His hands will be way out over there. And what will happen to his shaft lean? It would have to be like this. Now you take a look at this angle here. This is going to be almost impossible to keep. If we go from here to there, it's a rough estimate, 47 degrees. That's a lot of angular momentum. And the problem is the more angle you retain, the higher you have to tee your ball up. His club length could only reach a certain point. His golf ball tee height, he'd have to tee this ball up about here to make contact with it. And then you're talking about, okay, he will actually be striking down on the ball. So now, not only does he have to tilt, but he has to hang back. So that means his spine angle will now have to be something like this. His exaggerated spine angle would need to be here. His shoulders would need to be here. This is where his hands would be. and then the golf ball would be here because he's still trying to swing up. So the more you tilt, the more you have to hang back to ensure that you're swinging up. But now what happened to his angle? His angle decreased because he needs to swing up. So now his angle went from that very aggressive angle to 102. And it's about where he is now. So you can see that it has to play a balance. The more you tilt, the more you have to hang back. But the more you hang back, the more you have to get your hands involved to square up to the golf ball to make sure you're swinging up. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about it. This basically comes down to your body schematics, how your body moves. But one thing you can help yourself do is make sure you're set up correctly. So we're going to take a look at a student here, and he's a friend of the channel, and this is from a while ago. And I know he's made some swing changes then, but let's just take a look at why he cannot retain his angle as good as some other people. So we look at that plane work, and there's a spine angle line. So if we take a look at the motion on the way through, so he does a really good job of dropping the slot. However, let's take a look right about here. If you look at that right elbow, there's nowhere for it to go. In other words, there's no room for the arms to move independently and free. They are stuck at that motion. Now, if you take a look at the right elbow, now he tries to get his body to clear whatever it can, but there's still no room to work with. And you can see the knee is moving up. There's crashing into the arms and hands, so he is just basically stuck with what he has. Now he pushes his hands back out in front, but let's take a look at what happened from the face on that made this a little bit difficult for him to hold his angles. So let's back it out so we can see this. And now let's go to the beginning. All right, now let's look at what we're working with. So we have the shoulder tilt, we have the hands perfectly there. Now, if we take a look here, boom, that golf ball should be 1 or 2 golf balls closer to the target. Why? Because now he does not have to tilt and turn as much to maintain this angle that he has set. So if you take a look as we come down into impact, he will have some issues because we know he's going to crash into his body. So as he crashes into his body, you can see the center of his chest has shifted ahead. Right, so now that's moved the golf ball even further back than what it should be. So when it's moved further back, it started about 2 golf balls too far back for his setup, and now it's moved an additional 2 golf balls back because of his weight shift. Now because of that, now let's draw a new line of where his golf ball has moved in relation to his body. You can see it is outside of his right hip. So there is no way to carry any sort of angle because he will miss the ball completely because his angle will be coming so steep that he'll top the ball. So now he has to figure out a way to release some of that angle to make sure his club is long enough to get down there. And we see visually, okay, not that much shaft lean specifically here. But if we take a look at where his angles are in relation to his wrist, let's look here. He still is carrying shaft lean. It's all about the relationship between the right shoulder, the wrist, and the club head. As he strikes the golf ball, he still has some shaft lean. So what is your ideal number? There is no ideal number. I just don't want you to fall in love with the shaft lean because shaft lean is a very finicky, is that the word? Finicky? A very tough thing to deal with because there are so many things at play. Ball position at play. Do you make enough clearance between your hips and the hands? If you do, how is your center of body? Is it moving over to the golf ball where you move your golf ball back where your hands have to fire? The more tilt you establish, the more potential shaft lean you have, but the more tilt you establish, the more you have to lean back to hold on to that angle. So there's just too many things at play to worry about shaft lean. Don't get caught up in trying to press the club in your golf swing. It just releases naturally based on your rotation. Rotation is key. Tilting is key. Too much tilt, you run into some issues. Too much rotation, you run into some issues. If you want a shortcut for shaft lean, don't bother with it. Just get it set up correctly, set up athletically, turn and tilt as best as you can, and try and maintain your posture throughout your golf swing. Just let it happen naturally. Hope that helps you. I will be away for a couple of days, so you won't see any videos for 2 days, but I'll be back on Thursday. Let me know in the comments if you like this stuff. Hope that helps you. Fairways and greens.